Hello, everyone. My name is Verve, and welcome to the first podcast, January 2nd of 2023. Starting this year off strong. I forgot to record podcast footage, so I hope you enjoy the same shitty red and green Bugatti Devo footage in the background because I forgot to hop on Forza and record gameplay this weekend for it. So it'll be the same gameplay background, just a different date. We updated the layout of the podcast a little bit. I made sure that everything was a bit more centered, I feel. And also, I basically just added a little bit of like a glitchy effect to the word bullshit. So, that's pretty much all the changes we had to the bullshit overlay, that is. The actual stream overlays, if you're an avid, if you are an avid, whatchamacallit, if you're an avid stream watcher, you would be able to see kind of like the rest of the overlay for the streams, because they've changed a lot, but the bullshit one kind of hasn't changed too much. But anyway, again, like I said, the first podcast of 2023, January 2nd, 2023. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm excited for what 2023 holds. I hope that we have a lot of good things happen to not only this channel, but also the main channel, and also, the stream as well. Because, I don't know. I'm sure there's a lot of content creators on the platform, whether that be YouTube or Twitch, who openly talk about their motivations and what have you, but genuinely, my motivation to go forward in terms of why I keep streaming when I do is just because I enjoy doing it. However, I think I've proven now at this point that if there's nobody watching, it's not like I'll stop streaming and stuff. But I will say that the more people who tune into the stream, or the more views that I see the videos get on YouTube or whatever, it fuels me to keep making that content. So like the stream for today, we're going to do the podcast, and then immediately after that we're going to play Voices of the Void. As long as as long as the views keep flowing, Voices of the Void could very much be the longest series on my YouTube channel. And the fact that Voices of the Void has been doing so well and exists right now is also the reason why I is also the reason why I completely lost my words. Oh, it's also the reason why Cursed Fallout 4 hasn't continued. I haven't forgot about Cursed Fallout 4. I still have all the mods installed. I still have Fallout 4 installed. Before we start it up again, I have to make sure that the game is ready to go in terms of I can load it with no issues, but I do remember Cursed Fallout 4. That hasn't dipped out of my memory. That is a series that I, in my head, 110% will finish no matter what. The problem, or it's not a problem, it's a non-problem, but the fact that Voices of the Void has been going so well, Voices of the Void is taking up that Let's Play spot right now that normally would be filled with something like Cursed Fallout 4. So the very far and few Cursed Fallout 4 fans I have out there, don't worry, it is coming back at some point. Just bear with me. I think it'll come back once Voices of the Void is over. In terms of I've done everything, not done everything in the game, because I don't want to make a promise that like, I won't stop playing until I've done everything in the game, we'll feel it out, but in terms of why Cursed Fallout 4 hasn't come back, it's just pretty much because of Voices of the Void. Voices of the Void has been a lot of fun to game with, and hey, it's getting views, so I can't really complain, But anyways, let's go ahead and actually start up the podcast, I guess, and talk about our topic. So our first topic for today is speaking of the new year being 2023 and it being the first podcast of January 2023. What's coming up for January 2023? Well, the list is relatively short. There's $16 games coming in January, so it's not like a shit ton. But just like every episode of the podcast, when a new month starts, the first podcast of that month, we talk about the games releasing that month. So this is the first podcast of January 2023, so we're going to talk about the games coming out this year. Also, to everyone watching the podcast, Happy New Year's. We did our little, Christmas episode of the podcast and, the Merry Christmas stream, where it wasn't necessarily a Christmas focused stream, but I did mention Merry Christmas in that stream. So this is the first stream since New Year's, so Happy New Year's to everybody. Welcome to 2023. So in January, we're going to be getting Lone Ruin for the Switch and PC on the 12th. Vengeful Guardian Moonrider coming to both PlayStation, Switch, and PC on the 12th. Dragon Ball Z Kakarot is coming to the next-gen consoles, so the current-gen consoles, PS5 and Xbox XS, on the 13th. One Piece Odyssey is coming to PS5, Xbox Series X and X, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC on the 13th. A Space for the Unbound is coming out on both PlayStations, both Xboxes, Switch, and PC on the 19th. Colossal Cave is coming out on current-gen consoles, Switch, and PC on the 19th. Persona 4 Golden is coming out on both Xboxes and last-gen PlayStation and the Switch on January 19th. So I just finished off my cough drop. Tastes good. It's like a strawberry one. Or a cherry one. I don't remember. Pretty good. Sorry. Shin Megami Tensei Persona 3 Portable is coming to both Xboxes, PS4, Switch, and PC on January 19th. Fire Emblem Engage is coming to Switch on the 20th. Monster Hunter Rise is coming to both PlayStations and Xboxes on January 20th. I can talk a lot faster and better because I'm not juggling a fucking cough drop in my mouth. Kart Rider Drift is coming to PC and both mobile platforms January 23rd. SpongeBob SquarePants The Cosmic Shake is coming to PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC on the 23rd. Forspoken is coming to PS5 and PC on the 24th. The Dead Space Remake is coming to PS5, current-gen consoles, and PC on the 27th. Age of Empires 2 Definitive Edition is coming to both Xboxes on the 31st and Season A Letter to the Future is coming on both PlayStations and PC on the 31st. So there ye go. Those are the games that are coming out that are new for January 2023. Excuse me. It's a very interesting, very interesting list of games. None of them on there I'm like, ooh, except maybe the Dead Space remake, but we'll see. It's all about money and if I have it and if people want to see it, I'll give you an idea of my dynamic. All right. For those of you who don't know, in real life, I'm poor as fuck. The only reason why I have this gaming computer, well, this one in particular is because of the COVID stimulus checks. But before that, the only reason why I have a gaming computer in the first place, and the only reason why I'm able to make content for you guys is because I worked my ass off for like 5 years at a shitty minimum wage part-time job just to save up the money to have this shit. My family is incredibly poor. I currently want to get a $100 controller. It's not actually $100, it's $99.99, but, buying it from Amazon or the website with shipping, it'll be $100 or a little over. I have a donation goal right now to get that, because there's no way the money's coming in from other avenues. Now, a logical response would be, why don't you just go get another part-time job? That's in the works. The problem is that the two places I've looked at, I found out they were hiring, applied, and then I guess I was just a little too late, or I wasn't selected out of the applications that they had. So I'm still currently working on that, which also sucks because as soon as that starts, this stops. Not like in general, but like as soon as my actual like part-time job starts, the podcast will keep going, but streams and like content will probably get a little less frequent and scarce because I'm a low energy person, and you know, if I go work fucking 8 hours a day, even if I have the next day off, there's no guarantee I'll be able to do a stream that next day or upload some content that day. So, you know, it'll be a bit shaky once that starts. But in terms of right now, we're just chilling. Like, for example, if the Dead Space remake comes out and it's an amazing game, and people come into my chat or talk on YouTube comments and like, oh my god, are you gonna play the new Dead Space remake? You should play the Dead Space remake. Blah, blah, blah. Give me the money for it and I'll play it because I don't have money. But anyways, we're gonna move on to our second topic of the podcast for today. Well, this is turning quite ugly. So normally I like to talk about happy topics and you know, non-triggering topics. However, this topic is a bit too big to ignore, considering it involves one of my favorite game series, Call of Duty. So, yeah, we're gonna be talking about a little bit of controversy, but nothing too crazy. Microsoft's road to acquire Activision Blizzard has been a rocky one to say the least. The most recent and significant roadblock comes from the American Federal Trade Commission, which filed a lawsuit a few weeks ago, which this article was published on December 27th of last year. So, a little while back, but not too far. Like a week or so. A few weeks ago to prevent the deal from going through. Now Microsoft is far back with a response saying the FTC is violating their Fifth Amendment rights to due process. The full document, which you can read here, but I'm not going to. I'm going to trust that this article is relatively accurate with this information. Claims that the deal should be allowed to go through for several reasons as well, stating that Xbox and Activision Blizzard are, quote, just two of hundreds of game publishers. The claims that the FTC violates the Constitution are listed on page 34 and are just a handful of defenses against the lawsuit in a list of 24. While the basis of the FTC's lawsuit is that Microsoft's deal will surpass the competition by limiting access to certain titles, Microsoft's response claims that, quote, Xbox wants to grow its presence in mobile gaming, and 3/4 of Activision's gamers and more than a third of its revenues come from mobile offerings. The FTC does not appear to be concerned with this. Their complaint excludes mobile gaming as a relevant market and instead focuses on the fact that Microsoft will own one of the largest game franchises in the world, Call of Duty. The acquisition would place Microsoft in a position to make the series an Xbox exclusive, but the company has repeatedly reiterated that they have no plans to make this happen. In the most recent response to the FTC, Microsoft claims that its goal is to actually make the series quote-unquote more accessible. In addition to promises that the series would remain on PlayStation consoles, Microsoft committed to bringing the series to Nintendo consoles for the next 10 years, throwing any exclusivity out the window. Quote, the acquisition of a single game by the third place console manufacturer cannot upend a highly competitive industry, Microsoft's response says. That is particularly so when the manufacturer has made it clear that it would not withhold the game. Currently, it is unclear whether or not the $69 billion deal will go through, or if Microsoft's claim of unconstitutional actions will have any effect on the FTC's intent to block it. Okay. This deal has been shrouded in quite a little bit of controversy. My take on it is at least in terms of, you know, Call of Duty, right? Because I mean, there's a lot of other properties that I know nothing about. And Microsoft doesn't have the best track record in terms of keeping monopolies and doing the right thing and all that. But at the end of the day, Microsoft went to these different companies like Nintendo and Sony and Steam. They even went to like Steam and fucking all these platforms, right? And they were like, for the next 10 years, right? Sony or PlayStation will have the same deal they've had in terms of the game is developed for PlayStation, like primarily, right? And PlayStation will get the content early, right? They've not only said that, but they're also even telling Nintendo, hey, you want COD on your consoles? We got you. Like, obviously, we're gonna get COD on the Xbox, PlayStation. You can get COD on the PlayStation, and you can even have COD, a week early with all the extra features or whatever. We don't care. Hey, Nintendo, do you want like a port of Call of Duty on like your next console after the Switch? We got you. Like, they're being open. Like, they even went to Steam and like offered them a special deal, and Steam went, nah, dude, you don't need a special deal. Just adhere to the normal rules that we have every game have. You know what I mean? Like, Gabe Newell basically said, nah, we don't need no special fucking deal. Just put your game on Steam with the same prerequisites and deal that everybody else puts their games on Steam with, and you're fine. So, like, it seems like the FTC is, like, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that Microsoft is a holier-than-thou, company and they can do no wrong or whatever, but at least in terms of Call of Duty, they're proving, or at least putting up this facade, at least for the next 10 years, at least, that, we're not trying to be assholes about this. Call of Duty is a big thing. We want more people to be able to play it because we want more money. That's, like, the obvious thing, you know what I mean? If they want more people to, I'm pretty sure even the CEO or COO or whoever the fuck of Microsoft even said that, like, console exclusivity is fucking stupid. Like, they hate that shit. Like, they don't like, Microsoft themselves even said they don't like the idea of console exclusivity anymore. Because game publishers and developers are kind of sort of starting, mainly the publishers, are kind of sort of starting to realize something that I've realized from the very beginning of time when I was a gamer, and that is console exclusivity. Well, yes, you can say, well, it pushes people to buy our consoles, right? At the end of the day, you're just limiting yourself to a third of the market you could have otherwise. So if there's 3 big consoles right now, there's not a dedicated name for it, it's just whatever Nintendo console is out at the time. Xbox and PlayStation. Those are like your 3 avenues. Well, PC is 4. Those are your 4 avenues. If you say this game is going to be a PlayStation exclusive, you are now cutting your profit margins down by 3/4. Your possible profit margins down by 3/4, because that's 3 other platforms or peripherals that gamers can't play your game on. Versus if you let it on all platforms, or you make a port for all platforms, now anyone on any platform can play it. The only platform that I would argue has a bit broader of a scope than the consoles is PC. And even then, not really. Because the amount of casual gamers that just buy a console and games on that console and don't really have computers for gaming is pretty big too. Like, the casuals are a pretty big fucking market too. So, like, really all you're doing is just cutting those platforms out. Like, it doesn't make sense, man. It just doesn't make sense. Oh, this game can only release on Xbox. Okay, well then there goes all of your possible PlayStation market. There goes all of your possible Nintendo market. There goes all of your possible PC market. That's a lot of money that could be just being printed into your pockets that you're just not taking advantage of. It was a very backwards business strategy, and I've thought about that for years. I still think that there shouldn't be any game exclusivity in terms of what marketplaces sell it and what hardware it can run on. I think that there should be exclusivity in terms of some platforms can get certain downloadable content that others can't, or something like that. Kind of like pre-order deals, or like how Call of Duty has right now, where it like comes out a week early on PlayStation and they get, access to stuff first and stuff like that. Like, I get that. That's good. I like that because that offers that incentive that the exclusivity had, but you're also not immediately cutting your profit margins. You're just suspending receiving that profit for a bit for that one exclusive thing. So instead of cutting, in Call of Duty's, let's compare. I know that they're not the same game, but I mean comparison in terms of their release versus their gameplay. So I'm not talking about the game itself. I'm talking about the game's like selling potential, right? You have Marvel's Spider-Man 2 and Call of Duty. Now, regardless of how big they are or whatever, we're just talking about the potential marketing for this, right? The potential markets, rather. I didn't go to business school. I'm not a business major. I don't know a lot about this, but I'm just using my common sense of the way that I know, like, a consumer buying a product works, right? Call of Duty, you offer it on all 4 platforms. So you still have the ability for anyone on any platform to buy your game, which just opens up that ability for, you know, anyone on any platform to pay that $70, right? Which, by the way, Call of Duty, for some reason, for Modern Warfare 2 went up by $10. I think they might have done it because there's going to be a bigger gap between games this year. I hope $70 isn't the normal standard. It doesn't... I don't think that Modern Warfare 2 is a good enough game that it deserves that $10 hike up in price yet, but we'll see. All right. So... people on Xbox can buy it, people can on PlayStation can buy it, people on PC can buy it, and people not yet on Nintendo can buy it, but they're working on it, right? So you have 3 of these profit avenues open that everyone can buy. PlayStation gets things sooner, which means that people are more incentivized to buy a PS5 to play the game, but they don't have to because they can pick the other 2 options like I do. I play it on PC. So you can have those other 2 options, so you're not alienating those 2 options, but there is incentive to get it first on that console. Like, for example, if money wasn't an issue for me, I honestly think I would go buy a PS5 and get Call of Duty on the PS5, and the only reason why I would choose PS5 over Xbox at this current point in time is because I know that Marvel's Spider-Man 2 is going to come out and it's going to be a PS5 exclusive. If I had the money for it, I'd do it. Because then I'd, you know, also go out and buy like a capture card and I'd be able to stream from PlayStation rather than PC and avoid all the fucking stupid performance issues and all that shit. But, you know, I digress. Versus Marvel's Spider-Man 2. It's only coming out on PS5. It will probably come out for PC, but like 3 or 4 years after release, like the first one did. So it's only coming out for PS5, so people on PC can't buy it. So that's $60 you're not getting from, you know, at least a few thousand people. It's not coming out on Xbox. It'll probably never come out on Xbox in any time in our lifetime, so that motherfucker's not coming out on Xbox, so you're missing out on $60 from a few thousand people. And the games are big enough and high quality enough that it's probably not going to come out on any Nintendo console, even the sequel to the Switch, anytime soon. So you're missing out on $60 from thousands of people there. So really, instead of getting... I'm just throwing out anecdotal numbers that mean that mean nothing. I'm just using them as an example. Let's just say you can sell 100,000 copies of Spider-Man. Now, this isn't like accurate numbers. I'm not saying this is what the game will make. I'm just using these numbers as examples. Let's say you could sell 100,000 to 500,000 copies of Marvel's Spider-Man 2 on PS5. You could also sell another 200,000 on Xbox. You could also sell another 100,000 if you somehow managed to put it on Nintendo consoles, and you could sell another 500,000 on PC. But that 500,000 on PC, that 100,000 on Nintendo console, and that 200 to 300,000 on Xbox, you're not going to get now because you're exclusively selling it on PlayStation. Call of Duty, on the other hand, and Microsoft, they're realizing, wow, that's fucking stupid when we could have these, like, million other, you know, copies sold on these other 3 platforms than just an Xbox. So, anyway, I've spent enough time talking about this. I'm just saying, exclusives are stupid. Exclusive content is a cool idea. Complete game exclusivity is, like, the stupidest fucking thing in the world. I'm pretty sure Microsoft now knows this, and I'm sure the other companies will catch up with the times eventually, but it's just dumb. You know, if you really want to make a deal, you know, if a developer and a publisher and then like a big tech company want to make a deal, make it for exclusive content. Have some of the characters have really awesome skins that you can only get from owning it on this platform. You know, like Call of Duty has the brand specific skins. Like you can only get the ghillie suit operator by buying Jack Link's beef jerky, right? Like you can only get the one skin for the one guy if you fucking drink Mountain Dew and get a special code. You can only get a specific, fucking skin for that one guy that has a fucking Burger Town shirt if you go to Burger King in real life. You know what I mean? Like, brand deals are cool, especially console exclusive brand deals, but at the same time, don't make the entire game exclusive because you're just missing out on a lot of profits you could be getting otherwise. So, basically, exclusivity is dumb. Or rather, platform exclusivity is dumb. Anyway, moving right along to topic number 3. I spent like 20 minutes talking about that, I'm sorry. That is something that I'm passionate about, is fucking platform exclusivity being the stupidest thing on the fucking planet. But moving on to our third topic for the week, new Stalker 2 trailer. We're not going to watch it here because I do have 10 topics for this podcast, so this will be, a normal full-size one, but I am going to talk about it, though. Stalker 2 Heart of Chernobyl is still on track to release sometime next year, or this was published on December 29th, so sometime this year, 2023. And developer GSC Game World has released its first trailer in 6 months, showcasing gameplay with some narrative trappings along the edges. Courtesy of IGN, the new video shows that Stalker 2 is looking pretty darn good. The narrative-driven shooter is set in the Chernobyl exclusion zone in a post-apocalyptic world laden with dangerous mutated monsters. Player must fight their way to the heart of the zone while steering the non-linear plot through choice-driven gameplay. Finally confirmed in 2020 after years of start and stop announcements, Stalker 2 had a tumultuous development after announcing and quickly canceling NFT plans due to fan backlash in December 2021. The project came to a screeching halt in February due to Russia's invasion of Ukraine, where GSC is based. Many employees were forced to evacuate their homes in Kyiv, Ukraine's capital. Other designers chose to defend the city. One of GSC's designers who volunteered to fight, Vladimir Fres-Yezhov, was recently killed in combat. But Stalker 2 Heart of Chernobyl is slated to arrive on Xbox Series X and S, including Game Pass and PC in 2023. It was one of the many titles to be bitten by the delay bug and pushed into next year, which is this year. So, yeah, there you go. There's a new gameplay trailer. It's still becoming a thing. It's very, very, very sad to hear that one of the development team members decided to. It's not sad to hear that he decided to defend his country. That's 100% a very heroic thing, but it's sad to hear that he died in combat. I didn't say let's have a moment of silence, but it kind of naturally happened. I'm sorry for that man. But yeah, so moving on to podcast topic number 4. This makes me very excited, but it's like a hesitant excitement. Okay, so bear with me here. And I don't know if Shadow's around, but I would sure hope he's not, actually, because he has COVID and he needs to rest up. But I'll have to tell him about this later. This is a topic that I feel like I should bring up to him, or at least, you know what, here, I'll link it to him in DMs here, that he can read it anytime he feels better and wants to read it himself. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I have some pretty wacky fucking news. Metal Gear Solid creator and Death Stranding director Hideo Kojima and Metal Gear Solid publisher Konami parted ways with each other back in 2015, and since then there hasn't been a mainland entry in the famed Metal Gear Solid series. Although there was Metal Gear Solid and Metal Gear Survive in 2018, but we don't really count that. While there is no reason to believe Kojima and Konami are teaming up again anytime soon, it seems the latter might be preparing for some kind of return to Metal Gear Solid. Longtime Metal Gear Solid producer Noriaki Okamura wrote in a recent issue of Famitsu that 2023 will be a year of many announcements. In this special end of the year issue of Famitsu, multiple Japanese developers and publishers wrote quick teases about what 2023 might hold for them. It's here where Okamura teased that 2023 will be a year of announcements for Konami Digital Entertainment. More specifically, he said other than the educational edition of Momotaro Dentetsu announced last year. 2023 will be the year of many announcements, and that his keyword for 2023 is long awaited. Now this could just be his way of saying that Konami as a whole might make some announcements and that maybe some of them will be long awaited by fans. However, given that it's Okamura, a longtime Metal Gear Solid producer, saying this, there's reason to believe that maybe he's teasing the return of the Metal Gear Solid series. Perhaps we're getting a remake of one of the games, or maybe a new mainline entry. Only time will tell. Honestly, in my like ideal perfect world, okay, in like my headspace of like an ideal world, what I would want Konami to do is grab as many people in their corporate umbrella who worked on Metal Gear games together, not including Survive. So everyone who stayed behind and didn't go with Kojima to Kojima Productions, everyone who didn't do that and that worked on Metal Gear Solid 5 and before, bring them together, have them form a new team or whatever, and then your sole purpose should be one by one pulling a Capcom, doing exactly what Capcom is doing, and going one by one and remastering your Metal Gears like Capcom. Is it Capcom? Capcom made Resident Evil, right? Okay, yeah. Do exactly what Capcom is doing. Go back and remaster the Metal Gears just like Capcom did with Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil 3, right? Go back, remake them kind of like how Capcom is doing, right? Do that for Metal Gear Solid, Metal Gear Solid 2, Sons of Liberty, and then Metal Gear Solid 3, Snake Eater. Once you do those three, then look to a game like Metal Gear Solid 4, and you can either choose to port it to new hardware and new consoles and all that shit, just release like a remaster rather than a remake. Well, yeah, release a remaster of Metal Gear Solid 4 rather than a remake. Actually remake Metal Gear Solids 1, 2, and 3. Release a remaster of 4. Then for 5, you don't have to remaster it or anything. Just pull a GTA 5 and just basically port it to the newer consoles maybe, or just don't touch it. It's up to you. I mean, that's a new enough game that I don't think it needs to be touched, really. And then through all that experience, meaning like the experience of working on the older titles and kind of working on and understanding the history of the series, then hopefully they can open up into like a new game. Because at this point in time, I don't think there's anyone that could work under Konami that I could trust working on the story for a new Metal Gear game. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It just seems interesting. Like, the rumor mill, or it's pretty much all been but confirmed that Metal Gear Survive was Kojima's work or Kojima's idea, but he didn't develop it. Like he came up with the story for it, and then Konami did the rest of it. So I'm not sure. The last thing I want to see is Konami just outright make a brand new Metal Gear game, continuing the story with all these beloved characters, and then they're like, yes, it is Metal Gear Fortnite, and look at this big live service battle royale Metal Gear game that, you know, oh, you ever wanted to see, you know, Naked Snake before he lost his eye, but he is in, like, Dwayne The Rock Johnson Fortnite cybernetic power suit? Oh, wow, Big Boss Master Chief, really cool. Like, no, fuck out of here, dude. Like, fuck all that, dude. We don't need that, man. We need, like, another, like, solid Metal Gear game. If Konami is in a situation where Metal Gear is dead. Like, Now, when I say that, I'm not saying that it's bad or like that the fan base necessarily died, but I'm saying in terms of the current landscape of gaming, Metal Gear is dead. Like, to the point where Splinter Cell fucking acknowledged the fact that fucking Snake basically died, right? Like, Metal Gear is dead, okay? You really need to be careful and you really need to work hard to resurrect the series into something that the fans will actually give a shit about. Like, again, I think the way that I put it is the best way possible. Go through Metal Gear Solids 1, 2, and 3. Remake them like the Resident Evil remakes. In terms of have that like classic gameplay feel, but imagine running around Shadow Moses in like HD modern graphics, and instead of like a top down, like it's like a third person camera, and like the game mechanics are even way more flushed out, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying that I want it to be this, but just for a visual reference, think of like Ubisoft's like Ghost Recon games, like Wildlands and Breakpoint. Think about like not how those games work in a Metal Gear game, but think about visually, like not you playing the game if you've ever played it, but if you pull up a video of somebody playing the game and you just watch the video footage, imagine kind of like that visual like gameplay, but it's entirely stealth based and it's like completely Metal Gearized. Like, I think that would be fucking amazing, dude. That would be so much fun. But anyway, that's just that. I don't know. That's just how my brain was processing it. I'm not necessarily saying, yeah, go back and remake Metal Gear Solid 1 and make it an open world game. That's not what I'm saying. But like, just I don't know. Imagine Metal Gear Solid, you know, the first game, but remade to be like gameplay sort of similar to Metal Gear Solid 5, but it's more cinematic like the Resident Evil remakes. Like, that would be so cool. That'd be such a cool fucking game. But anyway, gotta move on from that, move on to our fifth topic of the podcast. The location's fate was sealed. Dead Island 2 was announced just a few years after the release of the first Dead Island, and a little over a year after Dead Island Riptide. The forgettable and repetitive sequel did that at least continue the story of the first game's survivors. Publisher Deep Silver released some spin-offs after Riptide, like Escape Dead Island Epidemic, and the 16-bit beat-em-up Dead Island Retro Revenge. But a full-scale numbered sequel hasn't yet happened, despite being announced nearly a decade ago. The first iteration of Dead Island 2 was helmed by Spec Ops The Line developer Jaeger, as Dead Island developer Techland had parted ways with the property and worked on Dying Light. Deep Silver then handed over development of the game to Little Big Planet 3 developer Sumo Digital in 2016, but then in 2019, Deep Silver announced that Homefront The Revolution developer Dambuster Studios would be handling Dead Island 2. And that studio has been working on this game since 2018. When I say in mine, I mean Wesley LeBlanc, the guy that wrote this article. In Wesley LeBlanc's cover story trip to Dambuster's Nottingham, England studio, various members of the team told him it would start with a fresh, clean slate for Dead Island 2, but curiously, Dead Island 2, due out in April, is still set in Los Angeles, California, the setting revealed in the first game's trailer back in 2014. Despite seemingly having the opportunity to make Dead Island 2 precisely where it wanted to be in every way, Dambuster stuck with LA, lovingly referred to in-game by the studio as Helle. Love it. I asked game director David Stenton about his decision, and apparently a different setting was never really on the table. I don't remember there being a lot of debate about doing anything other than LA, Stenton tells LeBlanc. I think for us, we wanted to apply real focus to the game, to the combat, and that also extends to the setting as well. LA is such a fantastic, iconic location. We didn't really feel like we needed to bring in any other areas. Stenton is likely alluding to the game's original logo when it was first revealed in 2014. The D in Dead features Golden Gate Bridge, San Francisco's iconic landmark. Dambuster tells LeBlanc that Dead Island 2 will take place in Los Angeles exclusively, so don't plan on making your way to San Francisco or any other California locations in the main campaign. I'm going to pause the article there and saying DLC would be sick, though. It gives us so much opportunity for the game that we wanted to make, so it wasn't a really big debate, Stenton says. It's important to note, however, that despite what the team says about sticking with LA, using the same location from the original reveal, the location fans assumed Dead Island 2 would take place in for nearly a decade, doesn't hurt the marketing of this game. While the team feels confident LA is the place for its zombie game, it might also have made the decision to stick with the location fans have presumed the sequel setting for so long. We started with a clean slate with our own vision, Stenton says. We're not looking too much at sort of what happened in the past or looking at too many other games out there. We're just really focused on how do we want to make Dead Island 2 absolutely phenomenal and bring it up to date and deliver a game that we think fans will enjoy. Sorry about the coughing. Yeah, so like your typical developer shit that he was saying there. But yeah, no, I like the idea that Dead Island 2 is going to be in LA. I mean, they said about how... Where is it? LA is such a fantastic, iconic location. We didn't really feel like we needed to bring it to any other areas. I mean, GTA 5, bro. Like, as sick as we are of GTA 5, genuinely, because we are pretty fucking sick of it at this point. They've released the game like 8 times. It's fucking Skyrim 2, you know, it's fucking Skyrim levels of re-releasing here. We are pretty sick of LA in that game, like Los Santos. I am so sick of Los Santos, bro. Like, I am so sick of Los Santos. I wasn't nearly this sick of fucking Liberty City. Liberty City is such a cooler map than Los Santos. Oh my god, Los Santos. Like, Los Santos isn't bad, but like, if I had to choose between playing GTA, if I had GTA 4 on PC, and like I had to choose between playing both of those games single players, I would revisit GTA 4 infinitely more times and in a heartbeat than fucking GTA 5. Oh my god. GTA 4 was so much more fun, but so I'm like so over Los Santos, but it doesn't mean that like I'm over games being in LA. You know, different games can make different versions of LA and make them really fucking interesting. Like Ready or Not, even though you only play them like a level at a time, that game is technically LA. Like the entire thing is technically Los Angeles, California, or at least they call it Los Sueños. You know, so I mean, yeah, you know, but even though we're sick of Los Santos, look at how popular that game is still. And at the end of the day, the design of GTA 5's map is very good. There's a reason why I'm able to play 5MRP again and again and again and again and all these different servers and not really necessarily get tired of it in general. Yes, if I play it too much in one sitting, I'll get tired of it. But, like, there's a reason why I can keep coming back to that map and still have a blast. It's because it's very well designed. I'm incredibly sick of it, but it's a very well designed open world, like, map. And, you know, using California and LA as like a template gives you a lot of nice like vistas and visuals, and it's a very appealing place, right? At least visually. So that makes something like I mean, the people there I've heard are fucking awful. But like in terms of the actual like visuals of the geographical location, seems like a very good place. And like there's a picture here that I kind of want to bring up of a screamer in Dead Island. Hold on, wait a minute. Bro, tell me... Oh, hold on. Gotta bring this up here. Tell me that this literally just doesn't look like fucking Vespucci Beach in GTA 5. That literally looks like Del Perro Pier. And that's probably because the real, you know, Venice Beach Pier or whatever in real life looks exactly like this. But this literally looks like Del Perro Pier. Like, there's there's, like, the start of the roller coaster that it goes up. There's the fucking Ferris wheel. Like, it looks almost exactly the same as GTA 5. It's not exactly the same because you don't have the lower level with the dock and the ladder over here. But you get what I mean, though. It's very fucking similar. But that's probably just because, you know, the actual place, you know, in LA that this boardwalk is based off of is pretty accurate. But yeah, so there you go. That was the 5th topic, talking about Dead Island 2. Moving on to our 6th topic of the podcast, and the last gaming podcast topic, is January's PlayStation Plus list announcement. All the games coming free to PlayStation Plus in January. There is a game on here that I suggest that if you have a PlayStation, you need to get on your PS5 or 4 if you have PS Plus this month. You have to get this and download this. It is non-negotiable. Everybody needs to get it, especially since the sequel was recently like announced and teased and stuff like that. But anyways, I'm not gonna spend too much time on this one because we are like 45 minutes in, and I have like 3 or 4 real life topics I need to breeze through before we hit that hour mark. So just in time for New Year's, Sony revealed the next batch of free games coming to PlayStation Plus. The required to download Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, Fallout 76, and Axiom Verge 2 will be available to download for all tiers of PS Plus starting Tuesday, January 3rd. PlayStation has not announced the new titles coming to the extra and premium tiers, but says that they'll be quote-unquote soon announced. Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order is a notable inclusion because of its sequel, Jedi Survivor, is set to come out in March. This PS Plus offering is an ideal opportunity for players to check out the first before visiting the second. If you played the game at launch, this is also a chance to check out the updates that introduced upgraded graphics and performance for PS5, as well as updates that added new Journey Plus and Challenge modes. So there you go. If you own a PlayStation, whether that be 4 or 5, and you have PS Plus, you need to get fucking Jedi Fallen Order. I highly encourage you fucking download that. You give it at least one good playthrough, because the sequel is coming out in March, and that was literally, I would say that, like, okay, out of all of the Star Wars games in recent memory that released, we have Jedi Fallen Order, we have both the Battlefronts, what other Star Wars games? What other EA Star Wars games? Yeah, no, that's it. Or no, okay. So here we go. We had Fallen Order, both Battlefronts, and Star Wars Squadrons. What was Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes? Is that a game? Mobile, collectible, sure, whatever, we'll include that, doesn't matter. Out of every fucking Star Wars game that EA has put out in recent memory, meaning like since they acquired it in like 2014 or whenever that was, Fallen Order is the best one. 110%. It is the best one. 1,000,000% it is the best one. So I highly recommend you play it. I can't wait for the sequel. Anyways, that's going to be the end of the gaming topics. We have 4 non-gaming topics, so we're going to jump right into topic number 7. I'm going to try to breeze through these. Number 7, well, this seems rather strange to see in Southern California. Snowbirds are a common sight in Southern California in wintertime, except when they're actually a bird. A snowy owl, to be exact. Crowds of birdwatchers have been showing up regularly to an Orange County neighborhood to gawk at a snowy owl, a species normally found around the Arctic, Canada, and several northern U.S. states. Its home is a current rooftop perch in the balmy city of Cypress. It is absolutely unique as a bird observation. Vic Lepzig, who teaches birding at Saddleback College, told the Orange County Register this week. The newspaper reported that local bird experts speculated the owl could have arrived in Southern California aboard a ship or could be a captive bird that escaped. It's a beautiful thing to see, Leipzig said. That there were so many people standing there watching this thing is very thrilling to me. So we have some actual images of the birdie. Here we have the lovely little owl chilling here next to like the gated chimney there. Yeah, there he is, man. I think it's a beautiful fucking bird, man. I think that's a pretty cool bird. That's a fucking pretty cool bird, man. Yeah, there you go. Snowy owl in Southern California. Crazy. Moving on to topic number 8. We have even more bird news. It's the week of birds in 2023. We're starting off with a bunch of birds in 2023. This comes from Nicholasville, Kentucky, however. Birders from as far away as Wisconsin traveled to central Kentucky last week in the hopes of seeing a rare pink-footed goose. There's no pictures for this, by the way, so I can't show you the pink-footed goose. But the waterfowl led them on a wild goose chase. But eventually the birders got their reward, the Lexington Herald-Leader reported. The pink-footed goose is a relatively small and short-necked bird with a dark brown head and neck, pink legs, and a small black bill with a pink band, according to eBird. It is usually found in Greenland, Iceland, and northwestern Europe, but is also an occasional visitor to northeastern North America, usually with flocks of Canadian geese. Or, not Canadian geese, but Canada geese. However, it had never been spotted in Kentucky before November, when there was a sighting in Shelby County. The goose wasn't seen again until just before Christmas, when it was reported swimming in a pond at a Ramsey farm in Nicholasville. On December 20th, bird watchers from Wisconsin, Georgia, Tennessee, and South Carolina converged on the farm after they were given permission to visit. The goose, however, was nowhere to be seen. Just as they were about to give up, Central Kentucky Audubon Society board member Ronan O'Cara received a call from a fellow member that the goose had been spotted in a small neighborhood off Harrodsburg Road. The caravan of about 20 bird watchers make their way to the new location, where they took turns looking at the rare goose. So let's see what this goose is, because they have no pictures of it on here, but I want to at least show it on screen. The pink-footed goose. Pink-footed goose. Oh, that thing looks weird, man. It looks like just a normal goose, but then it put on, like, it looks like a normal goose, but then this goose, instead of just having normal colored feet, it, like, stretched like a pink surgical glove over its legs. That's literally what it looks like to me. That's fucking weird. I don't like that goose. I don't like that goose's legs. I like the goose in general, but then, like, you know, it's an adorable little goose, and then you look at its legs and you're like, that's actually disgusting. It just looks like it's wearing, like, surgical gloves on its feet. Fuck. Fucking weird-ass goose. Anyway, moving on to our ninth and second to last topic for the podcast today. South Korean UFO. A South Korean UFO from Seoul, South Korea. South Korea's military confirmed it test-fired a solid-fueled rocket Friday after its unannounced launch triggered brief public scare of a suspected UFO appearance or North Korean missile launch. The Defense Ministry said in a statement that the rocket launch was part of its efforts to build a space-based surveillance capability and bolster its defense posture. It said it didn't notify the general public of the launch in advance because it involved sensitive military security issues. A twisty tendril of vapor in white to red amber could be seen snaking behind a bright white light in parts of South Korea's sky Friday evening. South Korean social media and internet sites were abuzz with messages by civilians who said they saw a soaring object, rainbow-colored vapor trail, or other mysterious lights. Some also posted photos and videos. What is this? Is it a UFO? I'm scared, said one Twitter user. Another said they suspected it was a North Korean missile launch and worried about a war. Others suspected it was a drone light show or a supernatural phenomenon. South Korean emergency offices and police received several hundreds of citizens' reports of witnessing a suspicious flying object and mysterious lights across the county, according to local media. We have one picture of this thing. We do have a picture of this thing. So this is what it looked like. This kind of looks cool in a way. Looks kind of weird, but also cool. So I'm guessing that this is like the trail that the missile left behind, and then the missile's like up here. Kind of looks cool though. In like a fucked up about to go to war way. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, moving on to our 10th and final topic for the January 2nd, 2023 podcast. No more smoking, pussy! Starting New Year's Day, you can still wear bikinis on the beaches of Miami Beach, but forget about showing any butts. Cigarettes, cigarette butts, that is. A smoking ban is being implemented Sunday after the stroke of midnight at all Miami Beach municipal parks and public beaches. Under the new measure, a person can be fined $100 and spend up to 60 days in jail for a first-time violation. Miami Beach City Commissioner Alex Fernandez said he sponsored the measure to keep the city's beaches pristine and protect sea turtles, seabirds, and other wildlife. According to the Ocean Conservancy, cigarette butts are the most commonly recovered item during coastal cleanup efforts. This paradise is an important economic engine, Fernandez said in a statement. Cigarette butts are not the butts of our 18 million visitors want to see. This new law will help keep our paradise clean and beautiful. Miami Beach is the top neighborhood for tourists visiting Greater Miami. The greater metro area attracted 24.2 million visitors last year. That's an insane amount of fucking people. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for the Bullshit Podcast for January 2nd, 2023. I hope you all enjoyed. Thank you all so much for watching. Those of you who are here live, we will be continuing with Voices of the Void here in a few moments. But for those of you on YouTube, on the Bullshit Podcast YouTube channel, thank you for watching. Sorry I couldn't get another gameplay thing recorded in time, but I don't think it really matters that much, at least for the thumbnail, because, you know, the date on them is different and the titles are different, so people should be able to tell. So thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate you. Subscribe to see more of the Bullshit Podcast. Leave a like if you enjoyed this episode. And I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.